Welcome back to Unleash Your Amazing Leadership. Today, my special guest is my buddy, Mari Smith. Mari has been known as the Queen of Facebook since 2007, and she's recognized as one of the top social media brand thought leaders here in the world. So she's trained that tens of thousands of entrepreneurs and global brands to master authentic relationship-based online marketing. Today, Mari blends 19 plus years of the Meta ecosystem expertise with human design and is an IHDS. So the IHDS is the International Human Design School. She's a certified analyst and as well as working on her business, human design. And she helps business leaders thrive through trust, alignment, and human-centered marketing in today's AI-powered digital landscape. Welcome, Mari.
Thank you, Tammy. I'm looking forward to our chat today. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. I've enjoyed getting to know you. Mari and I are in a profit potential course together, and she's my buddy. And so we've been working together. It's been a semester and a half,
Yeah.
and it's been my pleasure to really get to know her and see how her mind works. And it's incredible, really. So I found that leadership often asks us to evolve without
Mm.
losing ourselves. Now, you've gone through being the queen of Facebook, and now you're integrating human design and human-centered marketing. So, how
Mm.
do you know when to let go or what to let go of and what to remain fiercely loyal to?
Ooh, that's an excellent question. The first response I could hear to the first part of your question was to trust my sacral,
Mm,
trust my gut, trust my energy resource, and just really on a daily basis to tune in to that energetic frequency of like, do I have the available energy to create a whole bunch of posts and schedule 30 days worth of posts on Facebook and Instagram? I don't know that I ever had really. I did an experiment earlier this year, a challenge. I challenged myself on March the 1st. I'm like, let's see if I can post once a day, every day, at least once. It's a couple of times I did two or three, just as an experiment. And it was fantastic. All my numbers went up through the roof of the engagement, the reach, even made like, more payouts from Facebook, whatever, instead of $6, I made like $56 from my content. But I don't mean to knock that because I know that's a whole model for a lot of people. It's like they're creative, monetized creators. They get paid from YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, etc. It's never been my model, and I've always been cautious of suggesting to my clients and students that they be careful of that kind of model because the rug can get pulled from under you. You really want to maintain your own control. Facebook's rented land. All these platforms are rented land. So, but back to this, how do I know what to let go of? If somebody was to really analyze Mari's, posting frequency, let's just start there. Specifically on Facebook, my Facebook page is where I tend to disseminate most of my, Facebook knowledge. A little bit on Instagram, and then I have a group, a separate Facebook group, and then my email newsletter. Um, my enthusiasm for this platform, for Facebook and really Meta as a whole, has slowly just been waning. And I know I'm not the only one. I see it in a lot of the comments and conversations and among my peers as well as my audience members of just, oh, I'm so over Facebook, Why isn't there an alternative by now? But I
mm,
mean, there isn't. But I think I've been so cognizant this whole time I've been studying human design, which I'm in my sixth year of my experiment now, and deep professional studies, 10 first lines. So I'm often like, oh, do I know enough now? Right. The not self-doubting, right? The open heart center. Do I know enough now? But it's like, I was so careful to not give any inkling to my hard-earned audience, hard-earned, it means like, meaning that it took me all those years to build the loyalty and the trust and the following that I have. And I feel blessed to have that. I didn't want anybody to turn around or the, a large portion of my audience to go, oh, Mari's not doing Facebook anymore. She's pivoted. She's down that woo-woo rabbit hole doing that weird astrology, human design thing, whatever it is. 'Cause like people like a lot of people don't know what the heck it is. And so I've been very mindful and just conscious of how I'm peppering in, sprinkling in aspects of talking about human design. In essence, I feel like I've kind of almost like been building this whole like side business in a way.
Mm.
And because I do offer human design readings, and we were just talking offline there about like local fairs and having a booth and just getting my name out, the word out more in my local community here in Ashland, Oregon. And then really also online, because I've participated in many human design festivals or interviews or podcasts where the conversation is only human design. It may be a little bit of marketing, but it really is part of my vision, my 214, and my passion to bring that, decades of marketing experience fused with the business application of human design, business and personal, because we're all these individual people that sovereign beings coming to the table, ideally as these whole beings, and honoring your own design and honoring that of others. It's really the new way forward of doing business and marketing.
I think that's really beautiful too. And what I like most about human design is I think that it really helps to like accept your strengths, right? I mean, we talk a lot about the not self and how we can get thrown off track. And I think that that's really important too. It's something that I experienced a lot of, but also like sometimes, we might have some unconscious strengths that other people see in us that
Mhm.
we don't necessarily see in ourselves. And it helps us to, I think,
Mm.
own those strengths and trust trust in our natural body's ability. And a thing that I used to experience is, we think everybody's the same as we are. Like,
Mhm.
oh, why can't you do this? I can do it. It's
Yeah,
fine, right?
yeah.
But I think that human design really gives a clear map to show like why somebody else might not have the same skills and helps you to kind of merge and co-create with somebody that has something different. And I think
Mhm.
that's one of the most exciting things about it. Has there been something that's been really enlightening for you with human design?
Oh gosh, for sure. It's been utterly life-changing. And just to comment on what you just said there, I mean, there's a reason why this body of work is called the science of differentiation,
Mhm.
right? I mean, no two people on the planet have the exact identical charts. And even twins, born within minutes of one another, the moon being the fastest moving planet around the wheel mandala. So the moon might shift. It's because you got your gate and line, but you got, tone, color, base. And so in the deeper layers, there's always going to be some genetic differences between each individual. And so then, and you were talking about unconscious strength. And so with my 214, it's called the beat in human design, the keeper of the keys in the business language is called directions, that strength of direction, which, as you well know, is the only one of all 36 possible channels or strengths. It's the only one that does this double duty for both small groups, 3 to 5 people, and large groups, 16 plus people. Um, and it's fully unconscious.
Mm.
And it's cut off. It's cut off from all my 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 analyst teacher would always call me top heavy. Like 18 planets in head, ajna, and throat. And then those like, oh, everything else is open except the G and the sacral. So it's like, oh wait, my body can make decisions. But it is literally my 214 is like this rudder on a boat. And I know that what we were just talking a minute ago about my career as a social media professional for almost 20 years. And before that, I was doing internet marketing since like in 1998. But I've always had this sense of that individuality, right? I got 6 planets in the 4323, this structuring, efficiency, individuality, right? So it's like, um, if everybody zigs, I'm going to zag. I'm not like going to go with the mainstream. There's a new trend. With my 10 line ones, I'm always going to go, well, let me just investigate this, and 1-3, I'm going to experiment and try it out and go, okay, now some time has passed. Now I've done my homework and I've figured this out, and then I'm going to speak about it. And because of, in essence, basically been living my design long before I began studying it in 2020, I think it's really been a great contributing factor to why I've built such a loyal audience, right? And I've always said to people that, okay, the world could be falling apart, the sky's fall. Oh my God, Zuckerberg's made yet another change. Freak out, panic. And then, but people go, what does Mari think about it? Let me go and check her page. She's the voice of reason. She's going to give us a reality check. And I'll be like, oh, it's chill, calm down, people. But yeah, I think some of the biggest differences. Well, see, I first heard of human design in 2003. Gosh, 23 years ago. I had it in the same category as like all the other assessments, Myers-Briggs and
Mhm.
DISC, and a bit of astrology, sure, I'm a Leo, whatever. I think it's what is rising? My moon, Libra, Gemini, I forget. But I remember at the time, the only thing I could remember from that reading, it was a whole other different career I was in, and the guy just said to me, Mari, you have a really busy mind. It's probably hard for you to meditate. And I'm like, uh-huh. And then it danced in and out of my life over the years. Actually, my older sister had been studying it, and I remember her giving me like this printout. It was just a few pages, and it's like you make decisions by aha or uh-uh. I'm like, what the heck? Doesn't make any sense. Aha or uh-uh. And it hadn't landed with me on this somatic, this body, this energetic rising in my whoa, okay, this is a yes, this is a no, and for me, for this body.
Mm.
And that's probably been the most powerful and impactful. The more I decondition, the more I live my design, and the more I can differentiate or discern between the mind chatter and what the mind is wanting me to do or trying to be the boss of me. And the sacral is just like flat. We don't have the energy for that. And so when I connect all of that up to the 214, the strength of direction, being unconscious, being what makes me a generator, builder type, what gives me my authority and my type. Um, and I remember reading somewhere that Ra said anyone with the 214 will always make money so long as they're following their true direction.
Mhm.
And so my Facebook career has just been a little bit. Anybody who's watching this who's followed me a long time, you might see like, is Mari going to offer another course soon? Like, what happened to her online courses? We'll see when I have the available energy. I know I will, but it's like you were mentioning in the introduction. What really lights me up is this concept of human-centered marketing. And yeah, fine, use AI a bit here and there, save time and money and handle mundane processes. But please don't delegate your whole life and every decision to AI. People are getting dumber, unfortunately. It's an artificial intelligence. It's here to augment what we're doing as humans. But I have some grave concerns, quite honestly, Tammy. I don't know how you feel about the impact of AI on the world, especially the world of work, and people just, incapacitated in terms of some of the simplest decisions or processes or workflows. So,
It's interesting because, there's a lot of talk about AI taking over jobs, but I
mm,
think that AI still, it needs a babysitter. I mean, it really needs a professional that is an expert in whatever you're putting it in there to then decipher to make sure it isn't hallucinating
yeah.
with the content that, that's been fed into it. So I think that that's important. It's an important differentiator to make sure that it is, when you're using it, that it's truthful because
Yes.
it is a little bit what geared towards agreeing with you.
He's sycophantic. Yes. Totally. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. No, I would definitely caution anyone from, if you're really new to human design, to just deferring to whatever you want to use, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, anything, even AI Raw, Jovian Archive offers AI Raw. It's good, it's wonderful, and because it's AI, it can get things wrong, and you wouldn't know it's getting things wrong unless you're trained. You've done at least some training from the source knowledge. Sometimes I push on it a little bit. I do have the biggest subscription for this year anyway. We'll see how it goes as an experiment, and I will push on AI raw at times and really get it to go into the deeper layers of like I was looking at a chart in conjunction with another analyst with her and her partner, and there was a place where there was a compromise. He compromised, she's a reflector, so he compromises her, pulls her into the detriment, and we were pushing on AI raw to like help us interpret the couple of different dynamics. And it kept getting it wrong. We're like, no, that's the exalted. We're talking about detriment here. And like every time we're like checking our prompts, and it's like, obviously the new person wouldn't be asking those kinds of questions that deeply necessarily. But I mean, another example is a couple months ago, I was teaching a class where it was 3 modules of social media marketing, and then the fourth module was human design. And one of my students, she's like, Mari, I gave my birth data to ChatGPT, and it's got me here as a like a 2-4 manifesting generator, and it has this activation, that activation, emotional decision maker. And I was like, wow. And it's just like all this interpretation. She's just copied and pasted to me what it said. And I'm like, would you mind if I ran your chart? Which I was doing for everybody anyway. And I'm like, I need to run your chart in my professional software. She gives me her birth data, and she's a 5-1 splenic projector. Not
So
emotional.
different.
And
Yes.
like everything that the ChatGPT said she was, everything was incorrect. And
Mm.
that's because she only gave it the birth data. Yes, a lot of these AI programs have sufficient knowledge. Every now and again, if I'm talking to Claude, I kind of like Claude these days more than ChatGPT, and I'll have it, like help me with an outline for a talk or something, just structuring it. And, I mean, I can structure it myself, but it comes up with ideas. I love AI for ideation. And then I respond. Then my sacral goes, yeah, I'm going to have that rising energy or contracting. I love this. I would never have thought of that myself. This is brilliant. But yeah, I can't stand it when it says there's 5 types. And I'll correct it. I'm like, don't ever say to me again, there's 5 types. There's 4 generators, manifesting generators. They're subtypes of each other. So anyway.
Yes. And you mentioned it earlier, but you have a 1-3 profile, which is this authority or investigator pioneer, right? So you need a lot of information to feel safe, but you're also designed to just kind of go out there and do trial and error. That
Mhm.
feels a little bit like it could be contradictory. How does that feel in your body?
Oh, yeah. I think some of the 12 profiles, certainly the non-resonant ones, so the 6 non-resonant ones what do we call them? Discordant? I don't know. But
Dissonance?
dissonant. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it can create an internal dichotomy because those 10 line ones, 8 of which are conscious, and really, and then on the deeper layers, because I've studied the differentiation degree program, my tonal sense on the conscious psychology side, both are tone ones. So even at like the deeper layers of how my mind functions and how I see the world, it's that solidity, that safety, security, that foundation of wanting to make sure the I's are crossed, the T's are dotted. I've done my thorough homework. And then, yeah, the third line's going, woohoo, let's just see, let's throw this thing at the wall and see if it sticks. So I have 5 third lines, all of which are in the channel of individuality, structuring, efficiency. So, and I catch myself like I always go back and listen to my audios or my recordings, or not necessarily every class, but certainly when I do a talk, right? When I give a talk or
Mm.
keynote or something, because third lines can make mistakes. And so this activations here, like if I'm going to make a mistake, generally it would be something that comes out of my mouth, right? Yeah, the 443s and 223s. And so yeah, out of those 6 activations, 5 are third lines. but it's fun. And so, and I think like this profit potentials that you and I are going through, it's really helped me to recognize, as Rao talked about, the, the 64 material ways, that as a professional public speaker since the 90s, I will always make money so long as I'm speaking, explaining, yeah, training, using my voice. I know it's not normally we look at the open centers, but anywhere we have a third line is an aspect of how we're going to interface with the material world. And
Mm.
of course, I'm cross of explaining, so that's it feels good to me. And the fact that our minds are the outer authority, right? It's our minds are for others. And so, yeah, just really, stepping up and into a whole new level of my career as I come upon my 60th on August 12th of this year.
Mm.
It's pretty exciting, and yeah, but that first it's exciting, and yet I'm collaborative, being split. So it's like finding the right collaborators is really what helps me to move the needle. I love that sense of partnership and accountability, and I've had some wonderful collaborations over the years, and I'm kind of in a mm, not I was going to say hiatus, but not a hiatus. I'm in a gap moment of where I'm like open to, come on, universe, bring me the right collaborators or coaches or partners to move forward to this next level of my career.
I love that. Yes, like asking for, the right guidance and the right people to show up and,
Mm,
and just trusting the process.
yeah, yeah. No, that's what Ra always said. There's this beautiful, beautiful line that I love to quote. It's from his about a 90-minute audio per type. And so the one on generators, he'll say that generators would do well, which includes, of course, manifesting generators, builders. We would do well to give up tomorrow
Mm.
and trust in life itself that it will provide. It always provides. If we can drop into that sacral, that energy resource in the gut, trusting that that gut will respond. And then for me personally, with my chart, with that 214, is just trusting that whatever direction I'm supposed to go in the third line, whatever people I'm supposed to bump into, or people, things, opportunities, I'm going to bump into them when the timing is right. Can't force the timing. That's what I've learned too about the individual circuitries. It's like the timing has to be right for me inside of myself, and then also for my external world, for things to line up.
Mm. Mm. Mhm. You have a lot of like logic and some abstract sharing, especially up here, as well as
Mm.
individuality. Um, is there a way that you think that leaders can communicate that helps them to create clarity versus overwhelm in others?
Ooh, gosh, beautiful question. Well, as you and I both know, having studied human design for so long, when you understand yourself, which is really the first step for all us generative types, builder types, knowing who am I for myself, so then I can know who I am for others. Um, there's a trap sometimes it's easy to fall into as an analyst or a consultant, is to interpret or do a reading or do a consultation in a way that's always the same. So it's like it's this fine balance of honoring your own design, but also speaking to the design of the other. So,
Mhm.
for example, when I'm doing a reading, um, invariably it will bring in some profit potential, some a little bit profit potential, not so much of that these days yet, but more just the business and asking the yes no questions to the generative type. Then ahead of time, I'll do prep ahead of time. I see, do they have the 62 or the 9? Do they, how many line ones do they have? Does this being in front of me have the capacity for a lot of detail? Because I
Mhm.
do. I'm like Miss Queen of Detail.
Mhm.
But I can overwhelm people if I go too far down the weeds. And for most people, human design is overwhelming if you go too far down the weeds. And I always like, I'll record the reading, I'll tell them, this will be transcribed and you can come back to it and you can ask follow-up questions. I think that this is part, I'm glad we're talking about this because this is an aspect too that I feel for leadership, for, consultations is doing only one, like doing one consult or one reading is in a way doing people a disservice.
Mm,
My main mentor and teacher, Dr. Andrea Reichel Wolf out of Austria, phenomenal lady, teaching human design almost 30 years. And she calls it, she doesn't like the word coaching, she calls it process work. So doing ongoing process work. So you're helping your clients to have more ownership and awareness of their own skills and attributes and strengths, and really begin their own deconditioning process and stepping into to living their own design. So I think that's a huge part of it, Tammy. And I'm just kind of like feeling into like the corporate world of how so many team members are pushed into boxes that's just not right for them, and they're being led by leaders who are not necessarily even connected to the potential of who their teams are. And so yeah, I love that you in your business you use so many different instruments and this culmination of them all, because I think sometimes the BG5 world, the business application of human design, if you kind of knocking on the doors of corporate or just business in general, and like, hey, can I get the birth data of all your team? We're going to run their charts. It's based on birthday, date, time, and place of birth. And they're like, wait, what? That's kind of private data. We don't want to share that. What is this thing? Astrology, planets, neutrinos? What the hell are they? So it's like just trying to strike that balance between offering a system that's incredibly beneficial and articulating in a way that paints this picture of a possible brighter future in a way. And my 1762 being that organizational being able to, future logic, but then the 6447, yeah, and I have 4 planets in that activation. So just reviewing the past and seeing what worked and coming up with something new for a better future, telling stories as I do with my 56s. But yeah, I really feel that this new era that we're stepping into, the human design in both the business and the personal world will have such potential for a bigger impact. And even Dr. Andrea, my main teacher, like I say, she says as we navigate these waters of the choppy, choppy waters of 2027, that those who are already living their design in basic minimum, don't have to go far down the rabbit hole, the basic minimum of honoring your type, your strategy, and your authority, and having that sovereignty, that inner authority and trust. So, no, you can't put that in my body, or no, I'm sorry, boss, love you, but that doesn't work for me. We're going to go this way, so on and so forth.
yeah, it's going to be the shift is going to create a lot of change for sure. As you were talking, I was just thinking about the trait 55 of abundance. And
Mm,
like I think currently we talk a lot about abundance being financial, but really
mhm.
abundance can be so many things. You don't have to have a lot of money to also feel very abundant.
That's right.
And the line quality that we're moving into, that of the sixth line is like wisdom, but it also here the keynote is like selfishness. But I don't think it's selfishness in how we think of selfishness. I feel like it's more about like learning to put yourself first. So as your
Mhm.
cup runneth over,
Yeah,
then you can help others. I think that we've been in a time where everybody has just been maximize, like, here I'm helping this person and this person, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this, but they're like last, and then their body is breaking down because they've not taken themselves into consideration.
precisely. Hmm.
And I think it's
Well,
important that we learn to understand ourselves so that we can take ourselves into consideration.
very much so, Tammy. And that goes, honestly, what I'm feeling in my body is that that goes for all the different applications. It's the health and wellness. It's what you're choosing to do for career. It's your relationships as well, right? Friendships, significant others, families. That's a huge impact that human design has had on me personally, is being able to relate to my various family members in a way that's just almost like just wonderment, just awe, like, wow, you're a
Mhm.
splenic projector 5-1. That's so different from me. Cycle
Mm.
generator 1-3. Wow. And all the compromises and recognizing where they show up. And so family, relationship, money, health, all of these different applications. And yeah, cup runneth over. I've always loved that metaphor of like, I need to fill up my own cup till it flows over, and then I'm going to give to the world from the spills in the saucer. Or another way, just that whole thing of putting your oxygen mask on first. But as we get into that 3420 background frequency, which is part of you're across the Sleeping Phoenix, right?
I am,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
So you're
Mhm.
carrying that frequency of what's coming, and it's that being busy, busy, busy doing your own thing. But that doesn't, my interpretation, my understanding is okay, there's the 55-6 is that selfishness, and the 59-6, one night stand, I believe, isn't it? That it isn't that like, oh, just shut the world out because go away, everybody. I'm busy doing my own thing. It's like, rising up and like the phoenix rising out of the ashes. I am a sovereign, individually empowered being, whole. I don't need any. I'm not going to government take care of me, boss take care of me. I'm taking care of myself. Hey, world, how can I co-create, collaborate, be interdependent, more local community initiatives? I'm seeing that popping up. Loving seeing that there's this growing trend right now with people getting together in Aura, or Gary Vaynerchuk is a beloved voice and the leader in the social media and marketing world. He keeps calling it analog. Analog is going to explode. Like analog is everything that's not digital. I'm telling you, they're going to have all these like clubs and events and retreats and seminars and just like hallelujah. We're kind of going back, but forward into a new era of being able to interact in aura in person in a way that's very satisfying, bringing much more success and peace and wonder on the planet simply because more people are allowing themselves to decondition from what we have been deeply conditioned to do and to be and to eat. I think I'm seeing more and more people waking up to healthier diets and going for alternative methods of healing and cleansing their bodies, which is great.
Yes, yes. And I think that one of the things that, as you were talking, like thinking about the 2034, is sometimes in the shadow can be a lot of force, right? And even though, the 20 is about presence, the 34 is about personal power and for the strength of charisma, I think that we're seeing a lot of not present right now, people that aren't, that, we've become very distracted and nobody's being present with other people. And I think that that's it. To me, it's almost like we're ending this one era and kind of almost combining the new era with some of the shadow of those traits. So, we're seeing with that a lot of not presence, a lot of force happening, or with the 59, the intimacy is sexuality that's being called up for years. What has happened behind the scenes in the world of, not good sexuality,
Mm, mm,
that I think that hopefully, as time goes on, as this awareness is being brought to the surface, that
mm.
we're going to be able to make better decisions. I don't know, as a society, like do things
Yes,
that are more aligned for the individual while taking into account, the tribe and the collective.
very much so. Beautifully articulated. And I was just pulling up an article there that came out the other day with on Jovian Archive. Shout out to Ryan Hanna, and he writes these great in-depth articles and talking about the Phoenix era and what it might bring. And to your point about the intimacy and the sexual energy, it's using them. It's creating intimate connections rather than broad collective structures. So depth versus breadth, and intimate is can be non-sexual, but then utilizing that sexual and creative energy as evolutionary forces. And he goes on to say, this doesn't mean that community disappears, but that the foundation shifts. Instead of communities built on mutual obligation, resource exchange, we may see connections form through authentic resonance, shared spirit awareness, and genuine intimacy. And that, when I read that, I was like, oh, yeah, like all the tingles. Yes, please. I would far rather have a genuine, honest, deep, intimate relationship, friendship with anybody in my circles versus just kind of going that like superficial, how's the weather, like, it's like, what's going on in your life, I just
Yes.
I just recently went through a loss. Well, it's not always a loss. People talk about a loss, but my mother passed in April, and then I was right away in a few days later, I was speaking at a major marketing conference. And of course, everybody's like, how are you doing? And I feel in my body in the conditioned way, be like, oh, I'm doing great. When I felt safe, and it was with a number of people who've known for 15 years, and I say, I'm doing okay, but my heart's tender. My mother just passed a few days ago. And there was incredible empathy and understanding. People were beautifully supportive. And I chose not to say it from stage because I don't think that would have been appropriate, although I could feel my mama's energy with me. And she spoke to me in ABBA song, so that was lovely. Um, but I was so raw. I was so raw. And but I know that my mom wouldn't want me to change that conference. I've spoken there every year for like 14 years or something. But it was just a beautifully satisfying experience. I had like one of the biggest turnouts, and the feedback was just beautiful. And I'm like, wow, I think so many people in the audience had no idea that I had just gone through that. But those who were close to me in these one-on-one conversations, incredible depth and intimacy that I could feel safe inside of myself. When
Mhm.
people say, how are you? To really give, oh, it actually chokes me up. What a world to be able to honestly say to somebody, no matter what's going on in your life. People say, how are you? You get that all the time. You go and you're standing in the checkout line, and you go and the cashier is like, oh, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm having kind of a rough day, but I'm doing better now, or whatever. Like just giving an honest answer, or at work, some your colleague says, how are you doing? How was your weekend? Like, I had a really tough weekend. Oh, really? Tell me a little more about that. On a break or something, but mostly we're fine. Everybody say, fine, fine, everything's fine. Yep. And they're like dying inside. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think what we've really been, even though the background frequency does have an emotional component
Mm,
currently,
mm,
I think that we've really just been taught to stuff our emotions down and not,
yeah.
it's not popular to be truthful about how you're doing, but I think that definitely the era of the Sleeping Phoenix, like I've always said, hey, if we're not going deep, let's just not go there. Like
Really?
I don't want to have a
Yeah.
conversation if we're going to talk about things that are surface level.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hope that that is part of the new era, that we can talk truth and emotions and not hide the things that we're experiencing because that can be very lonely and isolating for people.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be incredibly healing to be able to talk intimately, freely, and to feel that trust and that connection, that safety, that somebody's really going to honor confidentiality, for example. I recently started working with incredible new healer, new to me healer, who's just really gifted in Chinese medicine and acupressure and anatomy. And he somehow connected a recurring hip issue to my kidneys, and my kidneys are basically overworked in my liver and my pancreas. And so we're doing all this. I'm doing some cleansing, I'm shifting my diet a little bit, and he does some really deep body work on all the organs. And one of the main things that he's taught me is that everything physiologically in the body is either it's not either, it's a combination of mechanical, like how you're using the body, your posture, your movement, chemical, what you're putting in, but also that includes toxins, but emotional. And
Mm.
oftentimes the emotional component of our physical bodies, like you just said, it gets ignored, it gets kind of put in the back burner, it gets stuffed down, and eventually it's going to come up and bite you in the butt. I always remember gosh, I think it was Debbie Ford. I loved her work, shadow work, Dark Side of the Light Chasers. Beautiful soul. She passed, but that's Arielle Ford's sister, and she had some great work. But she had this metaphor where, to your point about stuffing the emotions down, is like imagine you're standing in a pool or a body of water, maybe about waist deep, and you've got these giant beach balls, and you're holding them under. You're like pushing them underwater, and like to the point your arms are like trembling, and then sooner or later those things are going to pop up because you can't have the muscle strength to hold them underwater forever. I'm like, yep, that's what happens with people, and then you manifest it in some kind of ailment or dis-ease or symptom in the body. It's so important to be able to share. My healer talks about journaling, how important it is to journal about your feelings and your life story and your days. I journal every day, and then have good close friends that you can have these intimate conversations with.
Yes, yes.
And,
Understanding the emotional intelligence in our design has been such a life changer for me.
mm,
And I know that you're also undefined emotionally.
mhm.
Is there anything that you've learned about creating emotional stability in leadership based on your experience with being able to feel so many emotions from others?
Mm. Wow, good question. Yeah, because on the body side, my tonal cognition is tone five, is feeling. So
Mhm.
I'm very sensitive, always have been, even since a little baby. So yeah, but I do have this ability to just like feel into the vibe of things, and even being undefined in the solar plexus, emotional intelligence. I do see that my own emotional stability is cool. It's a cooler emotions. It's kind of just the gentle lapping waves on a lake versus someone who has a lot of activations in the solar plexus might be more like an ocean waves crashing against the rocks, the cliffs or something. And so, but in leadership, I think that's, if I circle back, what came to mind there is when I was saying, people really freak out if there's some major change going on, and or sometimes not even a change, like people get all up in arms about the support, the extreme lack of support that Meta offers, even when you pay for it. It's just so terrible. Pay for it to get a blue check mark, and maybe you'll get some extra support when you need it. And some people do, to be fair. And if you're spending millions in ads, well, you'll get some support for sure. But to the everyday, business user on Facebook, Instagram, that if you have fall into some difficult situation, you get hacked, or there's a situation you need help with, then people can get really, really emotional about that. Rightfully so. I mean, and and I'm no tech support. I don't provide tech support for Facebook. I'm teaching you on the business side, and I've had to put all kinds of different, disclaimers and whatnot in different places. People asking for tech support, but I have resources I can refer them to. But I think that my design does give me the ability to have a perspective that's very balanced. I have the 15 as the love of humanity, 15:4, and so just and the 25 universal love. So it's just this ability to have deep compassion, empathy, almost like soothing people if they're in a charged state, and being that voice of calm, that voice of reason. Yeah, one of my throat gates is the 12.6, one of my favorite lines, metamorphosis. And I think I've always even before human design, I've been cognizant of this. It's like a filter that's somewhere in the back of my brain because the gate of caution, right? So it's kind of like it filters what I'm about to say. And maybe the 4323s as well, because it's like the inner ear and I'm structuring and I'm like, let me language this in a way that really lands. And then the tonality, the 12 has that tonality as well of where it's the tone of the voice is often just as important as the words that I'm saying. So yeah, I've got 36 hanging off that solar plexus crisis. And I remember when I was first taking not living your design, I think it was rave cartography with Jakub in the Czech Republic, Human Design America, and we were like just beginning to look at our hanging gates, or and he's like, "You must be good in a crisis, Mari. Are you good in a crisis?" I'm like, "Hmm, I guess maybe I am." My feathers don't get ruffled easily.
Mm, mm. Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, your 12 connects into my 22 there
Mm,
for the grace,
yeah.
driving force. So 22.5.
Mm, being in the mood to be social or not. Here we are hanging out, being social.
Yes, yes.
I love it.
Um,
Yeah.
so what does unleash your amazing leadership mean to you?
Ooh. Mm. Hmm. I could feel a rush of energy, just subtle, subtle rush of energy right from the sacral all the way up, just beginning to prickle the eyes. Ah, unleash your amazing through a human design lens, because that's just what's coming to me,
Mm,
is really is about embracing your brilliance, your unique, differentiated, brilliant self that has these genetic propensities, strengths, consistent, reliable strengths, skills, attributes, ways of being in the world, ways of fulfilling your life purpose, having a dream or a vision that you want to manifest, but feeling the small self going, well, who am I? It's like those beautiful words by Marianne Williamson, it's not our light that frightens us, it's our darkness. Who am I to be brilliant, fabulous, talented? Actually, who are you not to be? She goes on to say, so it's like as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. And I feel that that's an aspect of what human design over time, it's not this quick fix. It's not just read your chart and okay, you understand it. It's not get an answer from AI. It's an ongoing daily experiment. As you well know, it's like 7 year cycles. Once you've completed your first 7 years, okay, I'm doing another 7 year cycle, like changing the cells in the body. It's a cellular transformation over time to really basically fall in love with yourself. I know that was one of Ra's biggest messages. We sign off all of these emails of love yourself, know yourself, love yourself, and unleash your amazing, brilliant, beautiful self in the world, because the world needs you to be different, to be you, not
mm.
to fit in, not to be liked and accepted and having to prove yourself and being good enough. Mm-mm, you're good enough by virtue of being a human being on this planet.
I love that. There in my healing journey, uh,
Mm,
there was there's a lot of misinformation out there, right? Like
yeah.
where, if you're attracting darkness, then that's what's inside you is that
Mm,
darkness, right? But I always felt like light always attracts the dark, the darkness. Like it's part of
mm,
it, right? But I
yeah.
feel like human design shows you like we attract our opposite actually, but we also kind of feel some resonance with that is similar. So I feel like it helps to understand that a lot of the well-meaning advice or where people are like, well, it's this way. No, it's this way. Well, what if it's both?
Yeah.
What we're not like this solo like thing. Like we are so complex. They're multi-dimensional, multifaceted individuals. And
Mm,
I think that a lot of mainstream advice that's been out there has been like fighting against each other, right? It's this way. No,
Mhm.
it's this way. And nobody really knows what the truth is.
No.
We're all just guessing at this
Yeah.
point. I feel like it just helps us to encompass the wholeness of who we are, but also the wholeness of who somebody else is, and
Mm.
being able to attract and to empower other people based on who they are without like taking our own lens and saying, you need to be like this. No, you need
Yes.
to be like you. And,
Yes.
I love pulling that out of people. I think it's so amazing.
Beautifully said. That's it. That's the premise, big part of the premise of what lights me up about this human-centered marketing,
Mhm.
because I've been working with the International Human Design School and the BG5 Business Institute for about 2 years in a consulting capacity. And I remember different conversations with Linda Bonnell, the dean of the IHDS, and she would relay information from Raw about the business world, about how so much of the business world is still very much stuck in that seven-centered strategic way. Even like having your pricing ending in 99 or 95 or 97. Raw apparently was a fan of just look, just call it $300. What's with this 299 or 297? We've been just so used to that. And things like scarcity and limitation and countdown timers and you snooze, you lose, and pushing people into making fast decisions. Well, hello, almost half the world, 47%, are solar plexus, take your time for emotional clarity to rise decision makers. And so, to your point there about just this honoring who people are, who each individual is, I can say, hey, this works for me. Let me work with you to find out what works for you. Because a lot of times people are just very dissociated from that, being so conditioned and like going down this path. Oh, thank goodness. For example, I was working with a beautiful artist client of mine, and she's finding that, and she's like in her early 70s. She's like 70 going on 50. She's so cute, beautiful, accomplished artist. And she's really judging herself for not doing marketing properly or how she's supposed to. Like, how can I market, Mari? And she found that with her TikTok, she wears all these bright, colorful clothes and she dances and does funny things, and the TikTok audience just love her. And
Mm.
I said to her, I'm going to invite you to do something. Would you just erase the word marketing from your vocabulary? She's a planning projector with the 1057. And I said, just be you.
Mm.
Just be your beautiful, vibrant, creative, sparkly self that's already doing these videos on TikTok that people love, and stop having your mind telling you, oh, you're supposed to market a different way. You already are marketing, putting yourself out there as yourself, this beautiful frequency. So yeah, yeah, it is interesting times. And I think that as we go forward and seeing how much we can put more of our pure frequency, our true selves out into the world through social media, through business avenues, through local interactions, then yeah, we can collectively help to elevate the frequency of the planet.
I love that. Yeah, so what came to me as you were talking about her is like whenever I launched my business, I did all of this marketing class. I took all these classes, and it always felt so incongruent to who I was, right? Especially
Mm,
like you have to niche down. You can't
yeah.
be multifaceted. You need to pick a lane, and it's
Mm,
like as an express builder, so hard for me, right?
mm, mm,
And like some of it just felt so not true to who I am. And I
mhm.
love your advice to her, to be herself, to be, I get to just be my messy self and it's
Yeah.
okay, you know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Someone told me the other day there this term polypreneur, and I'm like, what the heck? I've never heard that, but other people call it a multi-passionate entrepreneur. It's basically you wearing many hats, you're
Mm,
running multiple businesses, and I'd never heard that term before, but I suppose it makes sense. But
yeah.
um, but still, the niching down, if that's correct, if that's somebody who's like really wants to just focus and and not try a bunch of things, and that's that's for them. But yeah, I think in today's world there is a lot of trial and error in the certainly in the entrepreneurial world. What worked a few years ago, or certainly in the marketing world, like social media, what worked even last year doesn't necessarily work this year, whether you're third line or not.
Right? Yes, because we're evolving, right?
We're evolving, and the dang platforms keep changing. They keep moving the cheese, moving the goalpost.
So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, Mari, how could they find you?
Sure. My website, marismith.com, or Facebook, Mari Smith, Instagram, pretty much everywhere. I used to say just Google me, but maybe we say just AI me. Hopefully I show up.
AI myself later and see what it says.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. I really appreciate you and
Oh,
always
thank
enjoy our
you.
conversations.
Likewise. This is really rich and deep and satisfying.
Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you soon.